Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome. Come on in and share. We're excited about this evening. Um, Another session, our fourth session on courage to continue. There's a lot of gloom and doom out there. There's a lot of negativity, and we don't hear anything but death all around us. But we've been listening to stories, testimonies of those who God has just helped them to hold it together. Life sometimes throws us a lot of hard balls, and many times through life, we have a lot of ups and downs. So tonight we have three gentlemen coming on. We're waiting for one more to jump on. We have my host. I have a co-host tonight, Jay Hollis. We have a co-host tonight. He's going to help me with our gentleman. I have had the opportunity, and I'm yet waiting for one more person to come in. Of these men, they have wonderful testimonies. Just interviewing and just listening to their story and knowing what they're about, it just blesses me. And I've been excited all day to hear how they would share. They say men and women, we process things differently. We're going to see tonight. We're going to hear tonight. Tonight we're going to be dealing with coming back from a loss, the courage to continue. And sometimes even the courage will make you, some of us, it's not a continuation. Some of us is stop and starting all over again. It's the courage to move forward. The word courage, the root word is core, and it means a Latin word for heart. And God has given us a heart. And I would tie that even to our faith, to be able to continue in the worst of scenarios, the worst of situations. Tonight, my guests, we have three. They're coming on. One is by the name of Bishop John Williams, Jr. He's going to share with us. He lost a spouse, so he's going to share with us his story. And then we have one, Pastor Billy D. Williams. Okay, it's a Williams night. Okay, I'm getting all twisted. It's a Williams night, not related, but it's a Williams night. We have Pastor Billy D. Williams. He, y'all can't have his autograph. Okay, all right, Billy D. Williams. He's coming to us. He is going to share with us. He is an author. He's an author of a book called Blended Families. He is also, I'm going to share even the devastation from the loss of a parent. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully our other guests will come on. Jay, just go ahead and greet the people. Say something to the men. Go ahead before we get started.
Good evening, everyone. I am Pastor James Hollis, Pastor Jay Hollis of the Sanctuary Church here in Delaware. Just have the privilege and the honor to co-host with Apostle Karen Johnson. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity just to sit in, amen, and to just sit with the men. We do realize, and as she's already stated, that we do process things differently, pain, grief, all of the alike. Our makeup, our nature is different. So for women, it may look like, we're not empathetic, we're not sympathetic, we're not emotionally in tune, but that's not the case. It's just different. And so we're going to hear from these men tonight concerning their struggles, their journey in life, and how, if you, like them, can relate, how you can make it over and how you can get through it. So Bishop John Williams, I'm so glad to see you on tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Pastor Billy D. Williams, and our other guests that will be coming in on tonight.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bishop John Williams, we want you to begin to share your journey with us. Begin tonight. Start us off about the courage to continue.
Wow. Okay. Well, there is a lot going on in the land. I think it should appropriate to stop for a second and consider all the people who are suffering from the pandemic and the floods and all of that. My personal story is that I lost my wife to cancer after 32 years of marriage. About 20 years into marriage, my wife, my late wife, was diagnosed with cancer. And at that point, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle that. That was tough. But we sucked it up and kept going and um, adjust to the prognosis and so forth. Went through all the treatment, the chemo, and all of that. And around 2015, 2016, things shifted for the worse. We went to the doctor and they said that she had stage 4 lung cancer, and that was a very difficult place to be. Stage 4 lung cancer meant that she could, the cancer had started moving around the body, but it had invaded her lung, and I didn't know whether she was going to make it through the night. It was difficult just listening to her breathe or trying to breathe and having to wake up every hour or hour and 15 minutes. I'm not sure where that noise is coming from.
Everybody, I'm going to ask everybody to mute your mics. Everyone else, mute your mics. Let's everyone mute. And Bishop, you can keep talking.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm still hearing a clicking noise. But every hour and hour 15 minutes, I had to get up to take care of her to make sure she was okay. So that became so difficult that I could no longer work. So I retired from my job after 32 years on the job to take care of her night and day. And even though the diagnosis was difficult, during that period of time, our friendship actually grew. It actually grew. And it might sound crazy, but it actually grew during that period of time because I stopped working. I stayed home. I was there to take care of her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There was a different sort of love where you're not getting anything in return. Her desires for intimacy, she lost over 100 pounds. So her weight went all the way down to like 87 pounds. But she had such a fierce desire to live and to worship and to praise God. She never stopped believing that she was going to be healed and delivered. So I stayed home about 9 months with her, and then miraculously she got better, went back to work, and started doing well. And so for about 6 months, she was doing extremely well, going back to the gym, traveling, going to church, and all of those things. And then about 6 or 7 months later, the cancer progressed to the bones. And once it got in the bones, it was very, very painful for her. She was on very strong pain medicine. And I was given some prescriptions for her. The prescriptions were very specific about when you're supposed to take them. And so our biggest fight over the last couple of years was with the pain medicine, because she kept wanting more and more pain medicine. And I didn't find out until it was a week before she passed from the doctors. They said that anytime she needed the pain medicine, I should have given it to her. So this is for anybody that goes through this. If you have somebody that's sick, if they're legitimately sick, give them the pain medicine. I know there's stories about addictions and stuff. If they're in a great deal of pain, the pain medicine won't be addictive to them. It'll only help them deal with their circumstance. So that was our biggest fight. But again, she had such a powerful desire to live that she went through not only chemotherapy, but radiation. And then the cancer progressed to the brain. And so now we were faced with needing radiation on the brain. And I was like, I can't believe it. But she still was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to live. Radiation on the brain, it was so harmful to her that they had to stop and give a break just to recover a few days before they started back up again. So about June of 2018, June 6th, in fact, 2018, she passed away. And I was there with her when she took her last breath. It still kind of haunts me. She was in hospice for one day. but in hospice, she never really regained consciousness. I seen her eyes change from brown to gray. I seen her mouth frozen open, like she was trying to breathe but couldn't breathe. And that was just a scary image to me. It really troubled me, and it still haunts me to this day. But the good news is that uh, you can live after death. Um, Even though I had a couple of years to prepare for her eventual demise, the pain of death was very sharp and very hard. Um, Even though I had time to prepare, it did not. I wasn't completely prepared for that kind of pain, that kind of sorrow. Um, and so we went through the whole process of planning the funeral and all of this stuff. I actually planned the funeral that I knew she would love, and I didn't even want to go to it because I felt so empty and void of emotions or feelings on the inside. So I'm sitting in the funeral and people were jumping, shouting, having a good time. And I'm like, why am I here? I was so lost, so void of emotions and feelings. And so I still don't know what that noise is, but we're going to go on. So after going through that whole process, I started the grieving process. And some of the things that helped me go through with my children gathered around me and they put their arms around me and they said, Dad, especially my oldest daughter, she was like, Dad, come stay with me for a couple of weeks. Stay with me a couple of weeks, recover. They planned a family trip. We went the whole family, all my children, their friends, their loved ones. We went to Jamaica together. Then I went to Florida. We did a lot of things to recover. I also had some friends that had been through the process. One of my friends, Ted Lancaster, he had been through the process a couple of times. And so he was able to talk me through what it's like to lose a mate. And then I have a friend named Darren Outerbridge. He told me I should go to a therapist. So he recommended his therapist. So we ended up going to the same therapist and becoming great friends during the process. Therapy helped. There was a place that I needed to get to. At first, people would come up to me and say, oh, your wife's in a better place. And I literally would get angry with them. Like, how dare you say that? But it wasn't until I felt it in my heart that she was at a better place that I began to feel some sort of peace. I knew right away that I did not want to live my life as a single person. And so then I had to go through the struggle of trying to get back out there and remind myself of what it's like to go out on a date. I hadn't been out dating new people in 30 plus years. So that was the whole process. I let my church know that I was going to be dating. I listened to some teaching on dating, how you're supposed to do it. I even visited some dating websites trying to meet the right woman, the right person. And the first few months of dating, I really didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any connection. It was just going out, having a nice time. But I can say that you can live again, you can love again. One thing I could say for sure that over the last year, I've really learned that someone beautiful and lovely, and it's changed my life. It made me really aware that your heart will still beat, you'll still feel love, you'll never forget what you have. I'll never lose the memory of what I had, but you can turn the page and you can find joy, you can find peace, you can find love again. So I just wanted to share that little short snippet of it. I couldn't share everything in the few minutes, but just wanted to let you sense how the process went. I started dating, couldn't find anybody, didn't feel anything. But eventually the feelings start returning. You recognize, yes, I can find love. And I believe that life is going to be really great for me going forward.
Jay, my mic is acting up. Can you all
we can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Bishop, what was your motivation though? When did the light come on to What was your motivation to come on, get some courage and try to keep going? Can you remember when that light came on?
Well, I think that just in terms of the light for me and the motivation to keep going was always there right from the beginning. The first thing was to try to exercise self-care, take care of yourself. What you need to do to make yourself feel better. Um, the therapy helped. The friends that I had helped. One of my friends, I can't say everything on air, but he told me some specific signs to look for, and he said, "Well, when you see these signs, then you know it's time for you to start living again." And you know, those signs came. I don't want to be graphic, but those signs came, and when those signs came, uh, I started really enjoying life a little bit more. I guess Apostle Karen's mic was kind of the one that was giving us a lot of the feedback, so she disappeared for a second. But I appreciate everybody letting me share a little bit of my testimony. I can say that God is truly a good God, and what God has for you is better than what has been.
That's amazing. I've heard great reputation concerning you going through that process with your wife. My question to you is, if there's a man out there now who's battling, whose wife has the diagnosis, what would you say to him? What would be the key thing you would say to him to help him get through, to let him know it's going to be okay if he just keeps moving?
I think that there's nothing more powerful than love, and during this season of difficulty, that's the time where love is really tested, and you find out whether you can really care for somebody, even though they're going through a difficult period. And so that's the essence of it. If you make a vow to be with somebody in sickness and health, for riches and poor, all those conditions, it is essential that you begin to exercise love. Anybody can talk love, but the proof is in the pudding. The proof is when you really have to step up to the plate and give your heart. I will say this, it's challenging. Try to surround yourself with people who can assist you from time to time. My youngest daughter, Danielle, lived with me and my wife, so she was a fantastic help. And if I had to go out, she would jump in. If we were hungry, she would help cook meals. I would cook too, but she would help cook. We kind of work together as a team to take care of my late wife. And I allow the person who's sick to live too. So my late wife would still want to go to church, so I'd have to pick her up, put her in the car, take her to church, pick her out of the car, take her into church. We would have a good time, pick her up, put her back in the car, and take her home. We traveled to Chicago. We traveled all over, even though she was sick. So you don't have to act like the person, doesn't have any rights or shouldn't enjoy life. Let them enjoy life as much as possible. Try to seek some kind of joy of peace. Also, try to spend a good amount of time in worship and prayer, or just self-care. I would go out. I would walk. I would listen to worship music. I try to give myself some breaks, because you can't do it 24/7. So you give yourself some breaks. There's a track near my house. I'd go out and walk 5 miles, put on my music, listen to it, worship while I walked. So that's a process of daily healing. So that process of daily healing carried me into the time when she died. And after she died, I still continued that process. And it kind of gave me a sense of normalcy. My oldest daughter would call and check me. What are you doing? Oh, I'm out walking. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. You're getting back on your feet. You're out. You're still doing the same things that kept you going through that difficult period of time. This is a time where you have to really pull on the help that you can get from God. The Bible says that when you go through tribulations, it brings you into a place where the love of God is shed abroad in your heart. Romans chapter 5, verses 3-5. The love of God is shed abroad in your heart. You allow the love of God to flow during that period. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that good love. I'm still waiting. It looks like she's Apostle Florence jumping in and jumping out. Okay.
Is she there? All right. Yeah. So
Look,
Bishop, it's so good for you to. I thought that was really an excellent point about you bringing out the self care um, of dealing with a sickly person, and even in the midst of your grieving, for you to be able to um, keep going forward. I think a lot of people, well, I do know a lot of people, we tend to get stuck in that place. Tend to get stuck into that place, but you gave some awesome tips and your testimony of how to make that process day by day. And it is a day by day process. I'm sure you've had days, even with you going out and taking your run, um, melting moments where you had to just break down, and you were able to do that in those times. We oftentimes hear about men that it is, we're not supposed to share our emotion. Men are not supposed to cry. We've heard that all of our lives, and particularly as Black men. We're supposed to be strong. But when you get to that breaking point, who is it that you can turn to? Where can you find some hope when the person that you're depending on, the person that you're used to going to, is no longer there?
right. There's a whole lot to that question, Pastor Jay. First of all, when you're a pastor or bishop, you're used to helping and caring for other people. And so there are very few people that can really listen to and handle your emotions. But the first thing, when you talk about feelings, as a man, you can't be afraid to share your emotions and be intimate. The person that was closest to me was very difficult because she passed away and I didn't have that. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my friends. One of the things that, as you talk about emotions, I would say, be careful you don't let anybody tell you how you're supposed to feel. People tell you you're supposed to grieve, 4 weeks, and then you're supposed to jump right back in the pulpit and preach and act like nothing is wrong. No, I don't have, no. This thing, losing my wife shifted my whole life, my whole perspective about life. Before, when I was younger, because I grew up as a pastor's kid, it was God, and then it was church, and then it was family. Now I've changed that all around. It's God, and then it's family, and then it's church. And I've helped pastors and church members as well by me going through this. I tell them, listen, if you need to be home with your family, go home and be with your family. If you need to take some time out to take your kids to the basketball game, do that. Enjoy life. Because the one thing I felt the most regret about was that I didn't give my wife more love. That meaning that I worked 50, 60 hours a week, and then I was in church Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Friday night, and all day Sunday. And so the one time that we had, and I worked 6 days a week, so Saturday was the one time that we had a little bit of time together, and I came home and I just sat like a zombie and didn't want anybody to bother me. So I had to shift my whole perspective. It's God, then family, and then church, because church can come and go. Family's going to be there. And it was my children that was there for me, that loved on me when other people were looking at me like, he should be okay now. No, they were there checking on me, praying for me, saying, Dad, don't even bother trying to preach right now. Take it easy for a minute. Let yourself heal. And this is the last part about emotions. It's okay to express them, but also allow yourself time to heal. Time to heal. Time to heal. Ecclesiastes talk about that. A time to heal. Thank you, Pastor Jay.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I believe we have Pastor Billy D. Williams, who is going to give his take and share his testimony of the loss and the grief of what it is like to lose a mother from a male perspective. God bless you, man.
First of all, I want to say hello, everyone. What an amazing story, Bishop, and greetings to Pastor Karen and everyone that's on the panel. I think my story is a little different. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think my story is a little different. And the reason why I say that is right before my mom passed, I was going through a major marriage problem, and just my marriage was just was just it wasn't going well. And me and my wife had just got our marriage back together, and I was having major issues with blended families, and it was just a lot that was going on. And then right when we got together, where we can kind of get a grip, trying to get a relationship with my daughter, that felt like I didn't love her or I didn't know her. It was just one thing after another, after another, after another, and then the day of my daughter's birthday, uh, I'm trying to pour into her. What can I do? Just trying to pour into her. I get a phone call that they rushed my mom to the. My mom and I had an amazing relationship. We was like sister, brother, uh, best friend. We would talk all throughout the night. I mean, things I seen was funny, things, ideas. She would call me on, and so we uh, had 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 really picked up an amazing relationship, and it was just fun. My wife would be laying in bed, and I'm talking to mommy, and it was just amazing. And prior to that, the Lord led me to go down and spend like a whole month with my mom. I didn't realize what I was doing. My wife didn't feel no type of way. I spent the whole month with my mom, and we just had an amazing time. And that was like that's what I wanted to do for my birthday, which was in March. Well, in November, the day of my daughter's birthday, the one I'm trying to get a relationship with, my mom passed. And at that point, I didn't know if I was coming or going. I knew I had to be strong for the family, try to be strong for the family. Me being the oldest sibling, I had to get things together. I didn't think my brother and sister had no clue on what to do. And so I had everything like it was on me. And I ended up going back home to Arkansas to try to get things together. And one of my, I was very conscious of what I was saying. And I would say on one hand, God, I don't know how I'm going to make it. And the Lord began to speak to me. He says, in that moment, everything that come to my head, I shouldn't allow it to come out my mouth. And I was just fighting like, God, I don't know, how. And I would have to say, okay. I can't let those negative words, I can't let those things come out my mouth because I begin to give life to it. And so I'm battling with, I lost, not only did I lose my mother, I lost my friend. How do I go on? How do I go on? And um, I had the strength to preach my mom eulogy. Uh, I get back home and I immediately go back into work. At that time, I was training and my deacons at the church, and I couldn't sit and waddle in it, and it would have been fine. People say, what, he lost his mom, he can sit back, he can do this, but the way I was set up, if I had sat and did this, I don't know which way my life would have went. So I kept on moving. I kept moving because I didn't want to sit still. And I would, contemplate like, God, well, shoot, I want to go to heaven too, my mama. You know what I mean? I want to go too. She's in heaven. I want to be with her. And after that moment, I begin to realize, like, it's not fair that my wife, my children has to go through this. My wife don't know whether to hold me. She don't know what to tell me. She don't know what to say. Because at this point, at anything she could say could tick me off. Or it could, make me cry. It could make me. So she was clueless on what to do. She was clueless on what to say. And I just had to really like get myself together in a sense of saying, I have a legacy. There's something that I got to do. And I begin to just, God, show me how to do it. Show me how to balance my life to where I can still grieve, but still learn how to do ministry. I just died. At that time, I wasn't pastoring. I was just in the beginning stage of my ministry. How can I balance my life to where I could be be a husband to my wife, be a father to my children, and also be the leader in ministry? How to do that? And it was a day by day process. It was a moment by moment process, and I've learned to just begin to deal with it in a way. And I think so much it's so important to have. My wife was unbelievable to me. She was there supporting me anytime. I never felt like um, I had an expiration date to grieve. I never felt like you should be over it by now. You should. She allowed me to be me. She allowed me to express how I felt, and she began to try to understand the best she could understand. And so I believe, without having my children being there by my side, I don't know if I would have made it without them. They just been incredible. And as the years that this we're going into, matter of fact, on the 18th of this month, will be 8 years, I believe, on my daughter's birthday. And so I've learned how to still celebrate my daughter's birthday at the same time the death of my mother. It's been a challenge, but it's been with the grace of God that allowed me to continue to go on.
So, I would just like to, I have a question. What would you say is the best thing or the best way that people who are around you, those that love you, what can they do in those moments? You speak that your wife was there, but she didn't, know what to do. If there is any, because from a woman's standpoint, it's different for a man. So, what would you say is a good thing for any women that may be dealing with a man who has lost someone very dear to them, and they're like, I don't know how to reach out to him. I don't know how to go. What it from a man's standpoint, so they can hear and understand um, from
I
that angle.
from a man's point of view, you have to allow them to. I'll put it like this: I don't think you should. You cannot be selfish. From a man's point of view, you can't allow it. You can't be so selfish to the fact that you just push everybody away. And I didn't want to push her. That was she was my helpmate, but she was helping me to get out. Baby, you want to go here? Baby, you want to go there? She began to allow me to still live life because I could just sit home and not want to go nowhere. And she would say, "Hey, baby, I think let's go here." So she kept me moving, kept me going. And then here's the next thing: I'll allow her to. And a lot of times we can get into a place to where no, I ain't going nowhere because this happened. And then the spouse said, "Okay, yeah, he's right. That's what's going on." But it doesn't really help you to just sit and just grieve. You have to go on with life, go on with the things of life, and a lot of times is that it's that person that's close to you that you hurt the most. You know what I mean? It's them kid, my children, it's my wife. She didn't do nothing. Why am I making her hurt? Why am I making her go through something because I lost my mother? You know what I mean? So I had to be sensitive enough to understand, no, baby, let's do this. Let's go on vacation. Let's move on. Yes, I'm gonna cry sometimes. Yeah, that's some music I cannot listen to. It's hard for me to listen to it, but I'm not gonna stop life because I lost my mother. And that's really what's helped me. So my advice to it is to don't stop moving. Continue to do some things that's going to begin to edify and not only build you up, but build the family up.
Good. That is so awesome. And the reason I ask that because we know as men we tend to shut down. We are not very articulate with our words. We may not be able, like women, our counterpart may be. So sometimes there can be a great barrier, language barrier, and they miss it. They miss that. The where we're not that we're angry or at them, and we mean to take it out on them, but as you spoke on, they're the ones that are closest to us, that mean the most to us, tend to take the brunt of what it is that we're going through. So I think that was awesome. You look like you have something else to add.
Yeah, I think the biggest key is on the other side is that your spouse or your loved one, your kids allow even in that aspect allow you to grieve. You know, I could be driving down the road and me and my wife together, and something would click, and I would just start crying, and she would console me. You know what I mean? She would allow me to show my emotions. I didn't have to tuck them away. As men, we want to tuck our emotions away. We want to hide them. We don't want to show nobody that we're hurting. We don't want to do that. And so my wife allowed me to embrace that. And because she allowed me to embrace it, it helps me to get to where I'm at today. You know what I mean? Because of that support system. So I think that's so important.
Awesome testimony. We're grateful hearing from you and you sharing, Pastor Billy D. Williams. We're also going to hear from you, I do believe, at the end of the broadcast concerning the merging of blended families. So we see Apostle Karen is back in. We're going to turn it over.
Listen here. I know it was a reason till we get a co-host today. My phone is jacked up. Oh
Wow.
my goodness. Okay. My apologies to everybody. My camera, I think that's mine that's cutting up. But tonight, thank you, Jay. You're doing such a great job. You guys are doing such a great job. Things that have been said is really helping those who need to continue. And Billy, you had said that you couldn't blame them. You had to get yourself together. You got to pull yourself up by the boots and like, you know what? This happened. And a lot of times family don't know how to deal with us because we are in a place. Some husbands and wives, we pull away from each other because we're in such a dark place, trying to deal with this grief. But you said it well tonight for all that are listening tonight. You need that support system. And your wife is my cousin. Hey, yeah, we bad. So I'm so glad she was there. Go Nisha. Yeah. To hold you down, man.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank God for your testimony. We'll be coming back. JB getting back at you in a minute. Now tonight also, there's another Williams. Not related, but there's another Williams. He has an awesome testimony. And a lot of times, especially when you come from church, we don't like to talk about divorce. That's like a taboo. That's like a subject we really try not to steer in the direction of. But tonight I've interviewed this young man and I've had great conversations with him. And we want him to just share for someone. They need to know that divorce is not final. It's not final. Failure is not final. There's still life after divorce. So I want to bring to our front and we want to say, welcome, Jonathan Williams. Let's go. Good.
Hey, how you doing today? It is great to hear the testimonies of the other brothers. I'm inspired by listening and hearing how you survive a lot of things, and I grabbed a couple of nuggets from my own pocket that I might carry along with me. I would like to say hello to everybody, and I'm here to share a bit of my testimony about life and survival
Everyone
of
else
divorce.
I'm sorry. Everyone else mute. Let's mute. We trying to work with the devil tonight. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Okay. It's totally fine. I'm here to share a little bit of my story and history of my divorce and some of the problems that I had. I'm a man that grew up in church. Um, Got married at a young age, mid 20s, and with all the hopes and dreams of love, marriage, looking at other people in the church and their marriages, my parents and their about 50 years of their marriage, and you're saying, wow, I'm had the same thing, and you think you put everything in order, from dressed from the nine, but you walked and said I do, and down the aisle, everything is just perfect. And then sometimes beyond our control, you end up in a bad place where they call the word divorce. And I will say, long before the word divorce came, there was a lot of separation in my life. We're sleeping in different rooms. We're going trips separately. We're even coming to church and worshiping together, not for people to know that that's what we're doing, but you're playing the game because you're shameful, you're afraid, you don't know what other people are going to say, and you put forth the image, and you try to hold things together. And beyond all of that, you still end up with that dreaded choice and decision that you are going to get a divorce. And beyond all of the sorrow, I think one of my lowest points is when I saw myself in my house, hanging a sheet that I bought from Kmart, so my neighbors couldn't see that I was sleeping on the floor in the living room with a 12-inch black and white TV and a blanket I bought to keep me warm that night so I could sleep and go to work the next morning, because I'm going to get a divorce. I had 2 kids. So not only you're separating from the marriage, but you're fighting for your kids. You don't, after a while, you lose your house, you lose your money, and everything that you know of joy and happiness is now shifted or gone. And I had a brother in my sorrow and deepest place. He pulled me aside once and he said, Jonathan, you're going to have to stop killing yourself by trying to fight and hold on to everything. What I want you to do is go for the peace. And I thought he was crazy, because I'm looking at my things and I'm getting divorced and it feels like I'm losing everything. I'm losing my identity. I'm losing who I am. I'm losing friends. I'm losing family. I can't go over my in-laws. I can't go over my family's house because word is getting around and people are talking, neighbors saying, what's going on? And yet he said, go for the peace. And as I began to think about it, the Lord took me to a dream one night and he said, in the midst of the storm, in the center is peace, sunshine, calm winds. And on the outside of the circle of the storm, there's hardship, destruction, and death. And as long as you fight to get out of the storm, you're going to get destroyed, you're going to get hurt, and you're going to get bruised. But if you stay with me in the center of the storm, you'll have peace. And when the storm is over, you'll survive. So I thank my brother
Jonathan,
for giving me that peace.
Jonathan,
Yes, ma'am.
when the Lord said that to you, when you saw that in a dream, did that become your motivation? When you saw that in a dream, how did you feel? When you woke up from that, what did you feel God was really saying to you concerning your situation?
At the time, I was in the middle of stressing. I was losing my mind. I was trying to go to church, trying to go to work, trying to be a friend, trying to be a father, trying to hold myself together, and it wasn't working for me. Everything that I was holding on to was temporal. But the one thing that no one can take from me was the peace that God gives me from the inside. And it wasn't the outside, it was within my own spirit, my own heart, that God showed me, if you stay in the peace, you'll be fine. And when I went for that, then it seemed like my storm, even though I was still going through, but my storm had calmed down and I was at peace.
Jonathan, let me ask you this. I'm hearing as you're talking, do you feel, I don't know if you agree with this, but do you feel that God is trying to show us that happiness comes from within?
I would say happiness does come within. It does come within. And if we think that life consists of the things that we have and the possessions that we have, we are miserable. We're always fighting to have more because that's going to make me happy. But when God makes me happy, this joy that I have, not as the world give I unto thee, that's the joy the Lord gives me. And I survived, and I came out of this because of the wise words of good men and good women, and the Lord was on my side. Yes, there is light at the end of every tunnel. I might not have had the relationship, and I'm sad that I went through it. I'm sad for her. I'm sad for our future. But my story is not finished being written. I believe that there is something still greater for me. And even if I had to go through it, I need to tell somebody else that's about to or in the middle of it that you too can survive. Just like the songwriter says, this too will pass.
Wow. 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 That is amazing.
He can't take my joy from me.
Come on.
He can't take my joy. Don't start now. Because this joy that I have, woo, it's what got me through. I can shed tears right now because I'm not here because of my strength. If he didn't tie me on to the ship, I would have went down with my own selfishness, my own anger, my own stupidity. But if it wasn't for the help of God that we are here today, I thank him today. No goodness of my own, but it's the grace of God. We got to let go of the hate, let go of the pain, and say, Lord, have your way. Have your way.
Listen,
Jonathan,
there's a question I have with that. One more, Jake, then I'm gonna let you take over. Tell us about the stigma. Tell us about the stigma that comes with divorce. How did that haunt you?
The stigma of divorce seems like you were labeled a failure. You would like to say, I got divorced because I was a cheater. I would like to say, I got divorced because she was a cheater. Well, what happens if you don't have that part in your life that you can say, yeah, I did all this wrong, but yet you end up in divorce? I went to church, and everybody in church preaches great marriages. So you feel guilty. You feel shame. Neighbors are happy in their relationship, and you realize you're not. I remember, I'll tell you a story. I was so shameful to go on a vacation that me and my ex-wife got 2 separate hotel rooms, and we split the kids between the 2 rooms so nobody would know that we were on vacation separately.
Wow.
I can't say I'm happy about that, but I was shameful. I didn't even want to tell my parents that I was getting a divorce. I didn't want to tell my brothers or sisters. And I definitely didn't want to tell her family. Everybody, in the beginning, they love you. It's a shame for you to go over a family's house for Thanksgiving and they ask you to leave because people were uncomfortable that you came to it. I forgive them, but it hurt.
Wow. Wow. That has to be.
Not that long ago, you were loving me. Now that I'm getting divorced, I gotta leave.
Wow.
It's shameful.
Wow. Wow. Jay, go ahead.
No, well, I wanted to just to add, from the children's standpoint of divorce, and I think this will give us a segue into Pastor Billy, his portion of it as we come to a conclusion. How is it? What do you do when I've not experienced it, but I do know of some who are, in this process and trying to figure out what to do. I've counseled, but with your experience, how do you make that transition having children and to be able to move? You're free and you move on. But how do you address the children that are involved that you brought into the situation? How do you transition them through? And so this should lead us into Pastor Billy D. Then you can come in with your.
I would like to share that it's hard in the midst of the two adults that are fighting in their own emotions about while you're going to divorce, you're trying to have a winner and a loser. And if you don't watch, you're winning, but you're really losing in the legacy of your children, because you may say something negative about the other, so you might have a better court outcome, but yet you just destroyed the parent in front of that child. The child is innocent and they love both, but now you cause them at one point to say, who do you love more? Who do you want to stay with? Who's better? And should not be the choice of a child should you love one parent or the other. I believe that we are guilty. I'll say I'm guilty. For some period of time, I wanted to win, but it's not about winning.
Mm.
When it's all said and done, I'm a grown man. I've lived my life. My children are just starting out. I don't need to change their image of what love, marriage, or their own self-esteem because I want to win the battle. That whole thing is, do we win the war but lose the battle? Do we win the divorce and destroy your kids for life?
Wow.
It's not fair to them. We have to be careful and say, for the sake of my children, this is not going to happen. I stayed 10 extra years in a marriage because I didn't want my daughter to have some other man call her dad or understand that a father wasn't in her life. I took that hit instead of saying I'm out. But yet I said I have to stay in her life to let her know that a man loves her and she don't have to look to somebody else for love. She knows her father loves her. I had that guilt with myself. I couldn't do that to her. But there are casualties of divorce.
Wow.
I don't know too many people who get divorced who don't have casualties. We have to try our best to mend the wounds and tell our children that we love them.
Wow. 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 That can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I had to switch devices, y'all. I had to switch devices. Listen, Jonathan. Wow. You helped.
I know.
Tonight. Wow. I am proud of you. What you've shared. It's going to be a blessing to many, but thank you. So where are you in your life now? You getting it together? How are things? How are things? We're forgiven. We're moving forward. How are things?
I think I began to heal when I began to forgive her
Awesome.
and not hate her.
Awesome.
And then I began to forgive myself.
Wow.
And then once forgiveness and healing began, then I began to get better. No
Awesome.
more nightmares, no more vowing never to let another woman get this close again, never to give my all to anybody ever again, and to say, thank God for the lessons. For every trial I went through, I regained a witness of what God can do.
Woo.
When I only got a check for working 2 weeks for $600 to pay child support and the mortgage and eat, gas, and everything else, and be a giver, God made a way. And he never, hallelujah, he said, I'll never forsake you. I'll never leave you. Never will your seed be begging bread. God did it for me. He
Mhm.
blessed $20 to last 2 weeks. He blessed
Whoa.
gas without stopping at a gas station. I even got laid off at a job over false facts, false people talking about
Accusation.
you, and yet God still provided. He let there be 2 months of not one bill coming to my house while I was fighting it in court. And
Wow.
the moment that the bill came to my house, the next day, the job called me and said, all charges are dropped. Come back to work as soon as you can, and we're restoring all of the money that you lost. I'm going to tell you, God is worthy of the praise, and he's my great deliverer. And every bit that I went through, you might have thought it for my evil, but God made it for my good. The testimony of the Lord standeth sure. I'm grateful today.
Hallelujah. You trying to start something on this line. Good gracious. So there is life. There's life
There
after
is life.
there's life after divorce. And this is what the series is about. The courage to continue. And I am, the hardest thing is to be with someone who doesn't value your worth or trying to hold on to somebody who does, they've already let go. Because the truth of the matter is, most times when people get divorced, you already left before you left,
Right.
mentally,
Hmm.
emotionally. There was a disconnect already. But your testimony, to think of your children and then to show us once you begin to release it and let it go, it's not final. It's not final. Failure is not final. And I'm
Not
praying
fun.
for you, that God would bless you, that you would be happy, and whatever your heart's desire is, that you would receive your heart's desire, because your testimony has blessed us tonight. The
Thank
comments
you.
was coming through. Many people were blessed by your comments. Jay, bring us back to Billy D, and then we're gonna be out. We're going a few minutes over today, y'all. I had the wrong device. I think I'm good right now. So come on, Jay, bring us back in if you have something else to say to him.
Well, we have Pastor Billy coming back in just to give us our ending. Apostle, I don't have anything right now. I gave what I had. But come on now, Pastor Billy, and you can give us. So, what is it we are ending in your session? So you're going to just go ahead and do what you do.
Wow. Amazing story, brother Jonathan Williams. It's just been amazing. I just want to definitely tell you guys this has been an amazing template, been amazing altogether. I've been blessed even just sitting here. But I do want to say this, dealing with blended family. Yes, we have wrote a book called Blended but Not Broken. Amen. And for those that are going through a blended family, you can still make it. You can still be happy. You can still thrive. And a lot of times, we as people think that blended family is just coming from a divorce or a broken relationship. And we don't think about widows becoming in a blended family. And sometimes in life is that it it happens in a way that we have to blend the families. And so the thing I would say, the couple points I would want to say to let you guys go. Number one, to make a blended family work, you're gonna have to have a true agape love. You're gonna have to adopt that. You're gonna have to get it. They're gonna have to get down to your spirit because you got to not only love that spouse, but then you got to love their children as your own. And if you're not planning on doing that, you're gonna have a rough marriage. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So, in order for that to happen, I believe it's so important to have family meetings. You bring her kids, your kids together. Let's talk about what's about to happen. If you're not planning on, you're not gonna have a family meeting to let them know, hey, listen, I love your dad, I love your mom. This is the things that we want to do. This is the thing that we're planning on doing. The family meeting is what's going to bridge the gap to your marriage. If you don't, what happens is that if you just abruptly do it and they think the kids don't matter, what's going to happen is they're going to feel like you're taking their parent away from them, and they want to know where they fit in at. And so you have to teach them what Bishop said. You have to teach them the godly order. It's God, my spouse, the children, then the church. And we can't get that out of order. And so what happens is a lot of times in the blended family, the the spouses are putting their children before they spouse, and that's out of order.
Out
And
of
so
order.
the spouse trying to figure out where they fit in it. They don't know where they fit in it. And so ultimately they end up getting another divorce. So family meetings are so important. Understanding, creating that foundation of agape love, understanding those children. And so here's the part you got to understand. Even though your child may be 12 or 22, 32, 42, or 52, they still want to know where they fit in at. And you have to be able to explain to them where they fit in at. This is the love of my life. This is who I want to love. And we got to learn how to embrace that. Number two, it will be a investment. I want y'all to understand this. Anytime a blended family is forming, it's going to be an investment that you won't get back right away. You got to know that you're in it for forever. That guess what? He might have 4 kids. You might have 2 kids. Well, guess what? One of your kids might not like them. You still got to go on with the process. You got to still understand the order, and that's why you need that agape love to understand it. You ain't gotta like them, but you're gonna respect them. This is who I love, amen. And it's an investment that it might not come back together right away. It might not form right away. But understanding this, you got to let the children know whether they're grown or whether they're little babies or whatever. This is an investment. I need you to deal with me. I need you to help me through the process. I know you don't understand. You don't know how to do it. Guess what? I don't know how to do it either. We're gonna trust God. We're gonna trust God how to do this thing. But what I want you to understand, I love you. The last thing I would say, one-on-one time with your children. Spending one-on-one time with children. So a lot of times we can get into a new relationship where we're trying to understand or know that new relationship that you just leave your kids to you just leave your kids wondering. No, it's important that you spend one-on-one time with your children. So spend that time with your kids and without your spouse getting jealous. That was major changes because in my marriage, in my relationship, I didn't know how to spend one-on-one time with my kids. I thought it was wrong. I thought I couldn't do it. And so therefore my kids was lacking and they wanted one-on-one time with me. And I didn't know how to do it because I didn't have a balance. Wasn't nobody teaching us how to do it. We don't talk about that in church. You understand that? That's not a subject to talk about. And now we're 75-80% of churches are filled with blended families and nobody knows how to do it. And then the last thing I will leave with you, family vacation. It's time that y'all spend family vacations with your children, with the family, his kids, her kid. Bring it all together. And convocations is not family vacations.
That's
Say it
right.
again.
Go away, get away so y'all can get to know each other. And that's how you begin to blend that family successfully. And again, it's going to take patience from everybody. not just the parents, the children. It's going to take patience, and somebody has to be the mature one to be able to teach it, to be able to express it, and let them know, listen, I love you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to help you through the process. I'm going to support you. Listen, you just can't support your children and not support their children. It goes both ways. You got to have balance, because at the end of the day, they know when you don't like them.
Wow.
That's what I leave with you today. There's much more. Please get the book, Blended but Not Broken. You can see me. You can inbox me. I would be lovely. I love to mail it to you. There's so much I would like to talk about. I know we went over, but you can make it on a blended family. But you got to get the tools. If you don't get the tools, and if you do it the old way, it ain't gonna work. I promise you. It's not gonna work if you're doing it on an old system. We're in a new system. Some things got to be downloaded to you, and we have some tools that are downloaded to you so you can be successful in this new blended family. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Do you have a website or somewhere they can get the book, Billy?
They can go to blended. They can go to Amazon. I'm on Amazon at Blended Broken. You go to Blended but Not Broken on Amazon. You can inbox us on Facebook. We have a Blended but Not Broken Facebook page. You can inbox us on Facebook. I can give my. You can reach out to me. I'll give you my number, and we'll make it happen. We'll get it for you.
Amen. Listen,
Amen.
Tonight I'm so sorry. I'm in and out. I didn't get all of what was said, but what I got was good. What I got was good tonight. From Bishop John Williams, Pastor Billy D, Minister Jonathan Williams. You guys have blessed us tonight. And man, I wish I could do it again, do this all over again. Again, my device was not working. But listen, y'all hear me clear now, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
We saved the best for last.
I want to thank all of you. Get that book. You can look any of these those speakers that spoke tonight. Y'all can inbox them. Anyone going through a divorce, Jonathan can really help you. Any man, he can really help you deal with how to be there and love your children and forgive and get yourself together. Get the courage to let go of what you got to let go. Just let it go. If it's not working, let it go. Your peace is what matters, and just have the courage that God, okay, lead me, help me to start all over again. So sometimes tonight, it wasn't just about continuing. Tonight, it was about sometimes just dropping it and starting all over again. So it has been a blessing to everyone who joined us. Thank you. Share this. Everything was good except for the crackling phone, but hey, everything was good. The word was good. Jonathan wanted to take us to church, but it's okay. The Lord is good. Yes, Pastor James Hollis, thank you for co-hosting. I gotta obey God when He tells me stuff. I did not know my phone was gonna be acting like that. So it pays to obey God. Gentlemen, it has been wonderful. Until next time, to my listeners, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your love and your concern. Reach out to these men, encourage them. All right. Y'all be blessed until we meet a bit again. God bless you.
God bless you.
Bless you.